Oh, it's been a while since we've heard that.
We're back.
Jazz hands?
Jazz hands. Magic hands.
Been gone so long, I now know what Genesis at ANX podcast feels like.
Oh,
that hurts.
Wow. Starting off with a low blow, man. I mean,
Genesis, I'm just messing with you, man. I cannot wait for your stuff to return, buddy. It's been too long.
Yeah,
it's been 6 episodes of The Mandalorian specifically.
I was talking about Genesis and ANX game.
Yeah, I think.
I know.
Good morning, gentlemen. It has been a bit, right?
It's been a while.
Over a month? Yeah, it's just.
It's definitely over a month. I don't know how many. I mean, I'm not keeping track of exactly how long, but long enough for me to have put up a couple of pieces of artwork from a well-known artist. I'm very fortunate to have them. So,
I know those prints. I have no clue who the artist is.
Well,
doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, it's a French artist. His name is Yahon Macalin, and he's very, very good at what he does.
Is he the one that caught herpes from?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. That was Yason. This is Yahon. Different guy.
Okay, gotcha.
Different guy.
Yeah, I believe he pronounces his name Maclian for the for the full French pronunciation.
Okay. I always
in there.
I always butcher the French language. It's not. They're not important, so I never really decided.
Never have been.
No.
Nope. I mean, seriously, you're gonna come up with a language that has just extraneous vowels for absolutely no reason.
One month. Plus 1 month of being gone, and Jason has already insulted the entire French people.
No, that was me.
Yeah, that was him.
Well,
I'm just helping. Yeah,
Jason's just helping. No, honestly, dude, come on. French onion soup, freaking croissants, delicious cheeses. I mean, baguettes. Who knew you could beat people to death with a piece of bread? It's amazing.
John Wick.
Only the French would have created that. They're like, it's amazing.
Absolutely one of my more favorite types of breads, the baguette.
It's good bread. It's like the Captain Crunch of breads, right? It's delicious, but your mouth is completely destroyed after eating one.
Mm-hmm.
You ever catch one in the roof of your mouth?
Yes.
Just like scratches and cuts.
Wait, we're talking about the baguette?
What are you talking about, Ray?
Yeah.
You're talking about the baguette?
What happened?
I mean, I know you catch a lot of things in the roof of your mouth.
Oh my gosh. Had been a while.
Mm-hmm.
I should have heard the stuff off air before we were getting on.
There was nothing wrong off air.
Except for maybe the tweet I sent y'all.
I'm not looking at it.
I haven't looked at it yet. So
I'm tired of you sending me stuff.
No, you're not.
Been a while. John Wick 4 came out. You gentlemen see it? Any?
I
have not seen it.
Probably the best in the franchise. Yes, it's almost 3 hours, but you don't feel it. You just don't.
That's what I heard is that despite its long runtime, it's not as it doesn't feel like you're having any down moments, which I gotta say, hearing that from multiple sources, from you and from other people that I know who have seen it, I'm very surprised by that, because John Wick 3 had dragging points in it.
Yeah, it did.
It had some dragging points. It drug in some spots. And I do feel like, again, while I enjoy the franchise, I think mostly because of Keanu Reeves being involved in it, and the Keanu Reeves fanboy that I am from growing up with him as a 90s star. Whoa. For all of us kids out there. Yeah. Whoa.
Has he ever said that in any of the John Wick flicks?
I think so, maybe. I don't remember. But
It doesn't stick out.
it's John Wick 3 was getting into Fast and Furious territory with
Yes, it
their
did.
over the topness. That, I mean, come on, man, riding a horse down, down a freeway with guys on motorcycles chasing you, and then actually being able to shove a samurai sword through the front wheel of a bike, you would have gone with that bike. Your
Yeah.
arm would have at least been broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like all of those things together. I don't know. I was like, John Wick 1 at least that's the one that I was like, okay, this is totally like believable. This
Right.
one. And number 2, I was like, nah, we're starting to kind of.
Yeah, we're getting a little superhero-y. Yeah.
Yeah, and then number 3 was like, it had its moments, but it did have a bit of a drag. So I'm curious to see. I don't know if I'm going to get to see it in the theater, but I am curious to see number 4 from what people have mentioned.
It has some of those moments, right, where you're like thinking, really? But it's so enjoyable on how they do that. And the last 3 major set pieces or action scenes that they do, fantastically over the top, but you're so enthralled by what you're seeing, you forgive all of it. I was
That's
telling
fair.
Jason there was one scene in it particularly towards well, it's in the movie. I just was telling
Really?
him, I was like,
Is it in the movie?
it's
Is
in
it
the
in the
movie.
movie?
Is there a scene
It's
that's in the movie?
I think it's in the movie.
It's in the
Not the
movie.
novelization.
Not the novelization.
Son of a
Okay.
bitch. Is it in the
Which-
movie?
Which, let me tell you, if it was a novel, John Wick probably has about 20 lines tops in the entire thing. It's but no, the scene in particular, and you'll know it when you get to there, it made the hallway scene in Daredevil just look cute,
Oh, nice.
right?
Is this the one that's the top-down shot that they pulled from the video game of him in the room? I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Fantastic.
Which video game?
There's a certain. It might not be just one video game, but there's some. It's probably not even the best video game because I think it's like a Rampage video game, which is about just shooting people in general and not in a good way. I mean, it's not a first-person shooter like space shooter sort of save humanity.
Right.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're frozen,
Yes.
but it's okay. You're
You're
good
back.
Well, of course I'm.
now.
There
yeah.
we go. It's catching up now. Okay.
I think
There we go.
yeah, it is, and it's a beautiful scene, and it comes after an unlikely action piece. So just the transactions or the transitions. Apologize. The transitions between these scenes were just fantastic, but that scene with them doing the over the top, dude, it's and you think it's going to be like a quick little thing. It's not. So it was very cool to see. Yeah, I just this movie by far probably my favorite for the year so far. But I haven't seen Cocaine Bear, so
Yeah,
that just came out on Peacock. I'll be watching that soon enough. But yeah, it was done really well. So and
yeah, I think I have it. I don't have Paramount Plus. Peacock's the one we have.
Yeah.
All right.
The other
Too
thing
many
is
streaming services.
they stuck the landing. Finally, I was very happy to see that. Was very impressed.
That's my
Still.
primary concern with this. Is that
Yeah, no, it ends absolutely the way it should.
Okay, don't. Yeah.
No,
That's-
I'm not
that's
saying
good. I understand.
to this movie.
Right.
It's
To
a
this
very
movie.
good ending.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it was just everything about it. I was pretty floored by. So which again, 3-hour flick and you don't feel it. It's not bad, you know.
And I gotta say though, I mean, a sad note. Unfortunately, it sounds like it's probably Lance Riddick's last film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, since he passed away, since we've been off air,
Right.
so to speak.
Hats out to the or hats off to what was your favorite game?
Oh, the Destiny crew.
My
Yeah,
God, dude.
all the Destiny 2 or just Destiny, whatever, the Destiny video game community. I mean, they were they were all over social media and all over. I mean, legitimate news outlets actually picked it up, and a few illegitimate ones too, to actually comment that the folks in Destiny were paying tribute to him. There were some screenshots of like several whole clans that had gotten around his character's area in the tower to do a bunch of emotes and all kind of like present arms and give him like a send off sort of situation. So much so that they
crashed it for a little bit, right?
They may have. I didn't read that. What I did see was that the developers actually wrote a farewell thank you to him, and so one morning when they wrote it into the game during an update patch, so that the next time anybody logged on, it was the first thing you saw, and it was this big. It was like I don't even know if it had a picture of him or anything, but I know that it's kind of like a eulogy and just like a farewell and a thank you for your service kind of situation, because that guy was more than just a voice actor for that show. He was a supporter video game. He was a supporter of the game itself, and he actually played. He was in a clan.
Well, they said
he was playing
the night he died. He was online.
Day before.
Oh
wow!
Yeah, the server activity shows that the day before he died, he was online playing just the story or whatever. So
it was really cool to see that he wasn't just getting paid; he was a fan. And I think there was a article written about it where he was talking about himself. He was like, if I'm going to be doing this, like I want to know what I'm, contributing to, and I want to be a part of that community. So, going to be missed for sure in a lot of different circles and clans, if you will.
I mean, an amazing actor, such an iconic actor, such an iconic voice, and the way he carried himself and just everything. I've he was in The Wire, he was in Bosch, he was in Fringe, he was in the John Wick films. I mean, he was all over the place. So a lot of things that I enjoyed, he happened to be in, and it's a bummer that he's gone.
Yeah. So anyway, go see John Wick 4.
On that
happy ending, right?
Yeah.
It can be kind of a happy ending. Go see him in a great performance.
There you
go.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
His character, no matter, and actually most of his characters always bring a certain gravitas to any scene that he's in. Maybe it is just a voice, but also he does know how to do the emote when he's acting. So,
well,
not like seeing The Rock,
Right. Yeah. No, when he carried himself, his mannerisms carried through that gravitas. Like there are actors who try and play like they've got gravitas, and you see them and you're like, yeah, you're not pulling this off. Right. He could.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the voice, although the voice definitely helped, but he knew how to carry himself in such a way that you understood he was dignified. He wasn't he didn't come across like someone who's putting on an air. Right.
Yeah. So, he wasn't, absolutely. He wasn't acting per se. I mean, he was, but that was also just, I think he had that quality already. It just happened to be well put into his characters.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So Jason, over the past month, you have absolutely worshipped at the altar of Picard season 3. I still have yet to see it.
The hell out of it.
I still have yet to see it. I don't think Sean's seen it, but
I don't have that service, so I
assume it's okay. It's a decent show.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, thanks. Any more you want to elaborate on?
I mean, I could. All right. So honestly, this is what the first season should have been. I mean, there's a few elements they couldn't have done if they had done it as the first season, but I think those could be overcome. But this one is what it should be. A lot of people have complained that I'm going to try and keep it light on, so there's no spoilers. A lot of people have complained that it's all just nostalgia porn, and I would argue it's not, because when they do the Easter egg,
a lot of big fluffy bush stories.
Yeah,
is that what's going on in Picard?
Exactly. Exactly.
No, for this era, it would have been a bunch of bald.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
We're
everything
shaved.
shaved.
Yeah,
everything.
Okay, good point.
Everything shaved. Yeah.
Well played, Sean. My apologies.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen. Sorry, I couldn't even get through it.
A lot of skin tight leotards. Anyway, no,
well, go ahead and finish.
anytime,
I'll comment.
Yeah, anytime they throw something that's sort of an Easter egg to the older shows, or or even the older films of the entire series, it does literally serve a purpose. So it isn't a, hey, look, here's this guy. If they bring a character on who, is a fan favorite or whatever, and there's a reason for them to be there, there's a reason for them to be communicating with them. There's a scene, it's been everywhere, so I won't go too much detail, but essentially you get to see a bunch of the old types of starships. And the reason they're there works. The reason you're seeing them works. And the reason for all these callbacks are important. So they do give you the nostalgia that you want while still giving you these updated characters. And they play with the fact that these characters are updated a lot. And that's really a big element here is, hey, the fact that 30 years has passed is a big deal in this story. And these are not the same characters necessarily that you knew. And they're going to explore that. There's actually a great scene between LeVar Burton and or Geordi and Picard, where he's like, when I was, when I was younger, I went on these adventures with you. I risked my life. I did all these things. I can't do that now. I'm a father. I have these things. Like, I chose to put my life in danger. I can't be putting my children's lives in danger too.
Right. I love that aspect of it too. I've seen the first series, or seen the first season. I'm sorry, and just recently, I think before season 3 launched, or right after season 3 launched, I caught an interview with, and now I can't remember his name, but Jean-Luc, on the Late Night, the TV show Stephen Colbert. And it's funny because he brought up that exact point that you just made about how he said the reason he returned to this character that he said he would never do again, or that he was tired of playing, is specifically because it was approached from the angle of, we're 30 years older now. We're not the same people we were. These characters aren't just going to be the exact same character from 30 years ago. What happened in the course span of that 30 years that has changed this person's life? And how are they going to react to these things as their character is now at this stage in their life? And I know I got that from watching season 1. And it was fascinating to hear him say that's what pulled him back into it. And he said the same thing for most of the other characters that are returning. He said the ones that are coming back are going, man, this is a really great concept that they're playing with how these characters have aged and calling it out and not just doing it as a fan service.
Yeah, the fan service stuff all is actually in service of the story. And this is honestly some of the best. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of what they were doing with Strange New Worlds. Like, of all the new Trek, that was sort of my favorite. This may not just be my favorite of the new Treks, but maybe of all the Treks, because they have scenes and episodes in this series.
That's a bold statement.
It is, where you hear where there's one scene in particular. There's several scenes, but there's one in particular when it hits, you're like, oh damn. Like you're like, whoa, somebody figured out how to write a friggin' script. Because like season 2 was complete trash. Just skip it. But this is amazing. And like there are several scenes where they happen, you're like, oh wow. Like this is well done.
Having known you as long as I have, though, is it, especially given that this season 3 is very much a continuation of the Next Generation storyline, which it feels like is in its totality. Are you sure it's just not the nostalgia grabbing you for that? Because like you said, Strange New Worlds. What was the other one? With the original,
Discovery.
The original cast, Discovery. Both of those are fantastic in their own right. The only reason I haven't continued watching some of it is because I haven't had time, much like the rest of us. But is it just that it's pulling at your,
No.
Oh God, I remember this string.
No. Because the best scenes are the ones where they're not doing that. It is absolutely the characters driving it. There are things they kind of set up. You're like, okay, this is kind of traditional Star Trek, here's the captain we're not supposed to like because he's a jerk for following the book or actually making good decisions, kind of a thing. And they set that up, and then you find out there's way more going on. There's one character who is important to the series that they're like midway, like episode 4 or 5. There is a scene with him and Picard, and it is literally one of the most devastating scenes I've ever seen in Star Trek. Period. End of story. Emotionally speaking.
Okay, but you just said that right there. I want to pick on that in Star Trek.
Yeah, well,
Like,
the entire premise here is in Star Trek.
Star
not-
Trek, yeah, but
I'm not
that's
comparing it to Hamlet.
well. I'm not. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying though, it's like when we say into that series or into whatever it is, I don't know. It feels like it boxes it in, just to that. So if it's good, like you're saying it's good, I hope it's standing on its own merit and not just
Yes.
well, this is the best thing Star Trek has ever given us. That's about as far as I'm going to go.
Well, no, I mean, again, Star Trek is good on its own. Like, there's a reason it's been around for 60 freaking years, right? Again, I'm trying to keep this contained within Star Trek because that's what it is. But yeah, it's like if you were to, there's a lot of things you're gonna miss if you don't have the history with Star Trek. However, if you were to come in this with just some basic understanding of a few characters and a few plot points, you could watch this show on its own and it would still be emotionally impactful. In particular, there's the one scene I said maybe one of the best scenes in all of Star Trek is literally if you were to just that scene itself, you were to watch it, not really a whole lot of it would still hit you that hard.
I'm still really surprised by that statement because, I mean, you are talking, as Ray said, Star Trek. So we're looking at, how many years of
60.
spanning? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know that, I mean, that reaches all the way back to Spock and Kirk and everything. Man, there's a lot because you're thinking about the movies. I mean, everything. And there's a lot of amazing scenes that have taken place. So many people would argue the Khan scene, from Spock dying situation was a huge thing. And then others are going to argue the whales and the different scenes that are from that movie.
From the most unlikeliest of great movies being Star Trek.
That was 4, wasn't it? Because 3 was Spock.
Was it the Voyage Home?
Yeah, Voyage Home.
Yep.
Voyage Home. And so, I mean, that's a lot of man, that's a lot of scenes that you're. So I'm very interested in why, or not why, but I don't know. Maybe one day we'll have that service again, and I can take a peek at it, or maybe Hulu will get to stream it after so many months or years of it not being
or maybe your buddy will just pass you the password.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. So there's one episode of Deep Space Nine that basically the vast majority of this, I was trying to look up the episode's name. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's anyway, it's like Devil's Due or something like that. Anyway, but that almost the entire fandom recognizes like the best episode of the entire series, like all of them, period. It is a DS9 episode where essentially Cisco is talking to the computer. He's giving his record of these events, right?
Vibe from Flash?
Yes, that's exactly who he is.
Cisco Ramon?
Yeah, Cisco Ramon. Anyway, yeah, he was excellent in it. Awesome. The makeup, you don't even recognize him. Anyway, so essentially Cisco's there with the I keep wanting to call him Andre Brower, but that's not who he is. Anyway, but it's him and a glass of whiskey, and he's telling, essentially it's the reports that they're giving, that they give at the beginning of every episode that would sort of start, that's what he's doing. It's his diary for this series of events. And everyone recognizes that as almost pretty much universally as at least the top 5 episodes of Star Trek of all time, if not the best episode of Star Trek of all time. This episode that I'm referring to that has the sort of the culminating scene is at least as good as that, if not better than that scene.
All right, high praise from the man himself.
Yeah, that's very high praise. Intriguing, also, by the way, to hear. Yeah.
And like I said, I'm trying to keep it light, but there's a lot of twists and turns. There was a few scenes. It's like there was a few things I thought maybe they were dragging in like the first 3 episodes, and by the time we get there, they are willing to move the plot point forward. But it's like the dragging gave you some really good stuff, and it set up these really great scenes. There's again the captain who comes off as an asshole, and he himself says it, which is actually. It is a devastating scene where he even says, at some point asshole becomes a replacement for charm. He becomes one of the most interesting and insightful characters of the series, and what they do with him is absolutely brilliant. Again, there's nothing in this that really should be done differently. Normally, I would like to have seen it done this, or I would have. Everything in the series is done beautifully, except the design of the Titan A. I'm not a big fan of, but
great. We're going to skip that. What I was going to say is, speaking of dragging, so Jeremy Renner, my God, that man looks incredible.
Come on, that's
no, that's not even a good one because he didn't drag anything. He was run over.
Yeah, he was runned over.
Runned over. God, which, by the way, walked out on his own 2 legs with a cane on Jimmy Kimmel.
Incredible.
Like 3 or 4 nights ago.
He just
couldn't believe that he was walking out and then sitting in the chair and like moving his legs and kicking his legs around like, hey-oh, like doing his legs back and forth and stuff. I mean, that's
when he started going down the list of stuff that happened.
Yeah.
I like everyone. I was like, the man should not have been alive. So that means we're probably an hour or so away from the clone conspiracies coming through. He's a clone. But just doggone, man, that his story just makes me happy. Like, that's cool. Like, it's one of those things where, and he said, just want to make sure that my nephew wasn't hit by this thing. He goes, so yes, it's the most painful, parts of it you black out on and everything else. He goes, but I absolutely would do it again. He goes, wouldn't change a thing.
He said in his interview on Kimmel, he said he remembers everything. He said that he remembered everything until they got him in the helicopter, the care flight, to take him out of there, or the ambulance, or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure it was a helicopter.
It was a helicopter.
So, but the medic who he knew in the helicopter from his help with the volunteer fire department that he's a member of, he knew the guy who was, and the guy was talking to him like, you're going to be okay. I'm going to do my best for you, Jeremy. I got you. Like, we're going to be okay. And he was telling him, he was like, just hang in there. I'm going to do everything I can for you. And he goes, I was alive and awake and everything with it until he gave me the push of whatever it was to give me some numbing relief. And then he goes, from that point on, I don't remember anything until I woke up in the ICU. But I mean, yeah, he was awake for 45 minutes before they got him into the, a helicopter and get him out of there. I don't know how much of it he felt. He didn't really say anything about that or describe it because I bet there was a ton of shock. And I mean, when you lose enough blood, you kind of tend to lose feeling in certain extremities. So, but he said that the track that rolled over him just happened to like roll in between, and he goes, it missed every one of my vertebrae on the way across. And he's like, so it didn't break my back at all. He was like, my leg was crushed, I had a punctured lung, and da-da-da-da-da. And the guy was, punctured. And Jimmy Kimmel's like, a punctured lung? He goes, it's all right, I got another one.
Yeah.
And just keeps on talking.
His attitude towards it is really, he could be so much worse than the positive notes he's taking from it.
He could be a woe is me and all these things, and he could also be he could be telling people it's a cautionary tale to watch out, but he's not doing any of that. He's like, I survived, I lived.
And I love that. And I'm not a victim.
And the same, he's like, I'm not a victim. I would have done it again, no matter who it was. It just happened to be a nephew nephew that he was trying to save. So sadly, I don't even, honestly, it's like he saved him, but not because he stopped the tractor. He just saved him because he went, oh shit, Jeremy, and the guy got out of the way.
Yeah.
So way to sacrifice.
It's incredible story. So we've talked about Wick and Picard and Jeremy Renner. Let's go to the Mandalorian. Are we all caught up on
Okay,
Mandalorian?
real fast. I am very much looking forward to the ballerina with
Yes.
I don't know, Ana de Armas
Yeah.
is
Yep.
cast as the ballerina. It's a spin-off from John Wick.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, okay, I think I heard about that.
is
Yeah.
which is between John Wick 3 and John Wick 4.
Yeah, but
And
I'm
it's
very
time.
much looking forward to that. Ana de Armas is a huge crush on that woman. She is amazing, both
That's
from
fair.
an acting standpoint and the fact that she is very beautiful. But I also am looking forward to the movie she's in with Chris, Captain America here, Chris
Evans.
Yeah.
Chris Evans.
Evans, yeah.
Where she ends
Ghosted?
up being some sort of super spy, and Chris Evans just like
Yep.
met her on a one night stand, and then he gets like wrapped up into all this kind of crazy espionage stuff. So yeah, looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, actually, that looks pretty good.
You know what kind of caught me off guard, and maybe it was because of the music that they were using during it. The Continental trailer came out this week.
I didn't watch the trailer.
And we could pull it up here, but
No.
Lord knows all that stuff with the
Yeah.
rights of what you can and cannot show. But the bottom line is, for such an exciting series, and you're trying to be a part of it, and it's only like 3 episodes, but they're supposed to be pretty long in length. Didn't get that from the trailer at all. Like, and I get it, you're trying to be cryptic about it.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes, looking at you, Terminator films.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, right. But it wasn't a horrible trailer. It wasn't the worst trailer I've ever seen, but it wasn't something that I was like, oh God, the Continental, cool. I've been waiting for it.
I was talking with a friend the other day about this, and both he and I, we kind of were saying we're not watching trailers like anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We've both kind of been like, oh great, a trailer dropped, and then I just don't want to watch it, and I don't want to watch it because I don't want anything to be spoiled. If it's something I'm genuinely interested in seeing, I will either wait excitedly until it comes out on streaming so I can watch it, with my wife at the house, or I will be drawn to go see it in the theater, right, with another friend or whatever, and get out, actually sit in the theater and watch it. But I just, the way they do trailers nowadays, and it's not everybody, you know what I mean?
Of course.
It's not all people, it's not all movie productions, but it is the sad trend of most of them that people are not interested. You don't pique somebody's interest anymore unless you give away a huge nugget of something in the trailer. And that's when they're like, oh, I want to go see that visually stimulating thing on a screen. And there's no more intrigue as far as like drawing a person's interest. It has to be given to everybody, and everybody is like, well, if you didn't tell me what it's about, I'm not going to waste my money to go find out. And I think that's misplaced. I think that's misplaced.
Literally this morning I saw the trailer for the Mayhem, for Muppets Mayhem, where it's the new Disney Plus show. It just popped up.
Trailer, by the way.
What?
I love that trailer, by the way.
Well, so here's the thing. I'm kind of with Sean on this, because at first I was excited, but by the end of it, I'm like,
now you're not interested. You're kind of like,
well, it's not that I'm not interested. I'm like, it's like you could have held some of this stuff back because you just told me the plot of the entire show.
But dude, come on, man.
I mean, it's the Muppets.
Any Muppet movie, really.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, yeah.
Well, it's like where it's going to go anyway. But then to the point, it's like, well, didn't you just tell me how this whole thing is going to play out? Like I'm just saying, I agree with Sean.
Watch the movie and learn about what it is. Experience what it is you want me to experience in the theater or when I'm watching the film. Don't hand it to me up front.
Greatest example of that was Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, where he plays the mathematician. You had no idea where that was going to go from the trailer.
Matrix.
It looks like,
The Matrix. Nobody knew what was happening in any of the trailers. It didn't give you any premise. You had no idea what was going to happen. That movie was a cultural and cinematic phenomenon. The first one, not the other two. Those were pieces of shit in a way. They're still okay because they complete the trailer. But dude, seriously, it should have stopped with one. The one and done.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree. It should have stopped at one. One should have been one and done.
Or go 1 and 4.
All right. I mean, whatever. But still, I still think like you could tell those other two movies were, hey, we really liked this. Do you think you can do trilogies? And they're like, yeah, we could totally write 2 more off of this. I don't think they had anything planned actually on the books until somebody said these were hits. Let's make 2 more. So, but that movie, you didn't know what was going on, and everybody loved it because it was so amazing. And they got to show you some visual stimulation with the trailers about like, oh my god, and that was camera tricks, right? It was like, how is she floating in the middle of the air to do this thing before she kicks some guy's head off, you know?
Well, and I remember I'd only seen like a half a trailer for that movie, and the movie we wanted to go see was sold out. And it just so happened that it was like, oh, well, you know, let's go see this flick.
Oh, you mean back in the day when you showed up to the theater to buy tickets outside and we're like, man, there's a couple of things we could see. Let's pick this one. And you're like, oh, no, I can't. It's sold out. Okay, well, shit, I guess let's go see
what do you want to go see? And it wasn't even like it wasn't opening week for The Matrix.
No.
But saw it. And I think, Jason, you were like one of the first people I called. I was like, dude, you got to go see this flick. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I was like, man, you
you
just got to see it. I can't even tell you. Yeah.
You can't even tell. Yeah, you can't tell me.
I can't tell you, man. You got to see it.
It was the best parts of like, you know, it was like Die Hard mixed with M. Night Shyamalan because you just couldn't tell people what it was about, but it was so cool to watch and it was so amazing to see. So, you know,
speaking of trailers that frustrate us, Jason, I know you're a huge Brie Larson fan, so
I haven't even bothered.
Tell us your thoughts on the Marvels.
I keep seeing these clickbaity titles online where people are like, the Marvels thing is trending due to one shot with Brie Larson in the trailer. I'm like,
she's
why?
Fit. She's fit. That's it.
Yeah, she's
and everyone's
fit.
losing their mind. It's like, hey, man, she looks good, you know.
And then I read another clickbaity title today that said it's got the worst reviews out of any trailer because people are like hate bombing it as far as like their rating reviews for the trailer.
And it's all just because I don't know. People have to hate. Like that's been you know, since you know Cain took out Abel, but people have to like just hate on everything that they don't like, or even stuff that they just feel is necessary to hate on because it's not following what they would deem as either worthy or acceptable, whatever the case may be, and that can go through a lot of stuff that we won't get into in this show. But it was just I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's not a bad trailer. I mean, it's a Marvel trailer.
I haven't watched it.
I literally haven't.
I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, you want me to? I'll tell you, it's the Marvel format trailer. You know, questionable scene opening up. You know,
I have not watched the trailer for Guardians 3. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch the only trailer I watched recently because it came up in my feed and I didn't swipe to go past it.
Yeah,
Blue Beetle. That was it.
Okay, I looked at Blue Beetle, but that was it. Only because I think Ray said
I told you I was like, go. I was like, check it out. And really, for me, it's more visual on how they got the costume.
Yeah, the costume looks good.
I like to see the fact that I forget the guy's name, but the actor who's playing him, he's the kid from he's the kid from the Cobra Kai. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, cool, you're not going to get stuck typecast being the Karate Kid's apprentice. Like, I love the fact that he's in a movie and doing something because he's a good actor.
He is.
I know it's a WB format style show, right? With it being kind of goofy and a little campy and a little teeny bopper over the edge situation, or you know what I mean? Like I
got you.
Yeah. It's
CW. Just say it is very much like that.
But it's not bad. It's still not bad. And I mean, they are doing a good job acting in that show. They fulfill their roles as actors to the characters, and they make you if you're interested in that sort of thing, you do get lost in their characters and their portrayals. So it's not like you don't have a hard time believing it if you let yourself believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be interested to finally see a superhero film where the family is in on it. Like, because in the comics, at least when they started, Blue Beetle was
Shazam.
Miss Marvel.
I haven't. Okay, so
we can continue to go on.
Well, I'm just saying those are
the latest Ant-Man.
The latest
Ant-Man 2.
Ant-Man 3.
Except
Ant-Man 1.
Well, except for hold on, except for the Ant-Man.
How about you just stop talking about it,
heroes.
Jason, and come back when you've got a complete
Thor. Thor 2, The Dark World. Thor 3, Ragnarok.
I
But those are all
believe even
heroes.
the last Thor, Love and Thunder, had something to do
Even
with
Love
it.
and Thunder had the family
just
involved.
saying, man.
Yeah, there's some people who, they do. I mean,
All right, never mind. I
Maybe.
don't care anymore.
Maybe.
Screw Blue Beetle. I'm tired of Blue Beetle just copying every other damn movie like Thor and Marvel.
There you
and Miss
go.
Marvel.
That's
That's
it.
what we need.
Bravo.
Screw
Everybody
you,
go out
Blue
there
Beetle,
and
and your
leave
unoriginality.
Thumbs down on the Blue Beetle trailers.
Thumbs down on Blue
Boo.
Beetle.
Horrible.
Why don't you
It's
do something
horrible.
original like have him hide his identity from his family?
God.
All right. What I did watch during our break from this stupidity was The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
I have been meaning to watch it. I still haven't gotten to it. Is it good?
Jason, it's 99 cents on Amazon Prime right
Just
now.
go rent it.
Just
I'll rent
rent it, and you can watch it for 48 hours. And it's 99 cents for Ultra HD. So, I mean, best you can see it in, go watch it. Just go watch it.
Still one of the
Go
funny
watch it.
Cage movies that's an insult. It's one of the funniest movies I've seen. It's good.
Yeah,
It's
it's
good.
good. It's very good. And man, Pedro Pascal is just on freaking fire right now.
Charming. Very charming in that movie.
But not just in that movie. I mean, everywhere. Speaking of, let's get back to the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. Okay, so again, we haven't been on since it premiered, but I don't get all the hate for this season. I think this is probably one of the best seasons, and I know there's a lot of people going, "Oh, they got away from the Lone Wolf and Cub. You were going to give me 3 seasons or 4 seasons plus of Lone Wolf and Cub. Eventually, that story's going to get old."
Yeah.
With how they're doing this season, I'm okay with them taking focus off Din Djarin and focusing on the Mandalorian as tribes and going through that focus with other characters and not just him. We had 2 whole episodes where he was in it, maybe 10 minutes. You had the one that was the background story for Coruscant and one of the scientists for the Empire, and then you had the one where it was a heavy focus on Bo-Katan, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. And there will be spoilers. Let me say that real quick. Very interested to see who the spy is. Because I'm hoping it's one of the main characters. I really am.
Hard on. Yeah, they're leaning so hard on it being the armor that it's almost too obvious. And again, that even goes back to the first season. There's some real questions about that first season where you see her melting. Was it season 1 or season 2 where she's melting the helmets?
Yeah, but to your point, and you sent me a clip on one of the fan theories. I'm not sold on that either, though. And the one thing that the Mandalorian has done a decent job of is pointing one direction and going completely different with it.
Which is why I think they're leaning too hard on her being the spy for me to think that that's what's really happening. Although I've always, again, since season 1, as soon as I saw the horns on her helmet, I've always thought there's got to be a connection with her and Maul, because again, if you watched the Clone Wars series, that was a big thing, was Maul taking over Mandalore, and so there's always been questions as to whether or not she was a part of this group that was essentially servants of Maul. So
fair enough.
Again,
but even in that point, though, Maul was always about himself. He wouldn't be trying. They're not befriending the Empire, right? Like during that
Right.
rebel scene, the whole thing was is that Maul was, um, he realized, no, I'm in it for myself. Forget everyone else. I don't care. If it's not service to me, what do I care about if it's the Empire, the Jedi, whatever? I no longer care. Um, so even then, I think that still pulls away uh, from that character. But what I don't want it to be is the douchebag Mandalorian. I don't know what his name is, but the one, um,
The one who
yeah,
took over when
yeah,
Bo-Katan,
one
the one
exactly.
who basically defected with the fleet and
Oh,
was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to be the one leading this.
yeah, and I don't want it to be him because to me that one seems obvious is that it's him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
But I mean, who else could it? It could only the only other person that it could be if it's going to be one of the Mandalores would be the chick who is with him, the
Yeah.
woman
I
the other Mandalorian who's like she's the kind of sort of second in command that was under him. Um,
I would love for it to be one of the big three, the Armorer, Bo-Katan, or even Din Djarin himself. Can you imagine this entire time we're
well,
rooting for this
see,
character?
that's
And
twice. His name is he is not the man who discovered evolution. It's Jarin, not Jarwin.
Jarwin,
There's
it's
no
whatever, dude.
W.
I don't care.
Yeah,
It's not
I was wondering
Din
about it, but
Look,
Djarin. It is
look.
Din Djarin.
I'm glad
He
Sean said
he
it.
made a
Thank you.
very good case for taking himself out of the evolutionary pool at the end of this
Any,
the episode.
anyways, I
Din Djarin. Anyway, but no, seriously, I would love for it to be one of those three. I
I
would.
I mean, I get your point about the. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
yeah, I don't know. The armorer has, like Jason pointed out, that kind of over the top, not over the top, but definitely over embellished hints and dropping. Like, hey, the way she talks is kind of nefarious, and
Hmm.
she sort of sounds like somebody who eventually will be like, well, of course I turned on you. This is the way, or
Hmm.
something like that. Like she might
Yeah.
just be a little cuckoo up there,
Mhm.
and that's the reason this is all happening. But I want to go back for a minute to touch on something you said, Ray, about you mentioned that this season is getting a lot of displeasure from folks that are saying they've lost their way and that it's kind of a strange season and they don't like that it's gone away from Lone Wolf and Cub. Um, and I don't think I echo the sentiment that I don't like it. I don't echo their sentiment that I
Mhm.
don't like this, right? That it's not a likable season. I think this is a good season. It's enjoyable. I'm enjoying watching it. But I was watching this latest episode and I was thinking to myself, this season has been very reminiscent of the formula from Clone Wars season 2, because
Yeah, that's a good
it
point.
is kind of it has jumped a couple of episodes where they're not perfectly linear, which is exactly how season 2 in Clone Wars was going, until it got to the story that followed, episode where it picked up immediately after the previous one left off. And
Yeah.
then it got to that point and it followed that formula kind of most of the way through the season. I guess maybe near the end it started jumping again a bit, but there was like a definite block where it was together and it was like each episode followed another continuation of the previous story. Um, which makes sense. I mean, this is Dave
Mhm.
Filoni, and I mean, yeah, he's got John Favreau helping, and they're collaborating on this, so it's got great directorial skills and great writing.
Mhm.
But Filoni did the Clone Wars, so why wouldn't this end up feeling a bit like that as well? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as the story continues to be um, engaging and the acting continues to be satisfactory. I see no problem with just enjoying the story and where it's going. And I think people miss that
Mhm.
point.
Well, certainly the trailer for Ahsoka, like that's
Yeah, I
very
haven't even
much
seen that one
Filoni.
either.
It's very much
Yep.
Filoni, and you're like, oh, you really want to bring your stuff
You really
back?
want to bring
Awesome.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
definitely a Filoni. That was Filoni's for sure.
yeah.
Um,
But again, looked good.
it,
It looked good.
I I did not see the entire trailer. And I did not see it with the sound on because, again, I'm still not really watching trailers, but I did see a few bits.
Mhm.
And I mean, hey, there was a lot of Yoda style jumping around, slashing people with lightsabers, and there's all these people talking about, oh, she's got white lightsabers and she's a gray Jedi and all these things. I'm like, duh, she's a gray Jedi. Like you have to it's like theorize that. Did you not even watch, well, if you haven't watched the Clone Wars, never mind, of course you don't realize it, but
Yeah.
she learned from Skywalker
Yeah.
and from Anakin, and Anakin turned out to be, you know, Vader, and so Anakin didn't always teach her the most wholesome things. She was like
Yeah.
probably one of the first Padawans to be, that we know of and that we saw her develop, on that borderline of learning a very, honestly, more balanced version of the Force than I think anybody else did, because
Gray Jedi.
Yeah.
a gray
Yeah.
Jedi, exactly.
Well, and then you have her in Rebels, where she does have contact with the
Sith?
Bindu and the Sith, but also the Bindu and so yeah, I mean, she's got that history. There's a reason for it. She's been around. She's been in hiding. Like to your point, it's like, if you don't know that she's a great Jedi, she's not even a Jedi. That's why when she was hanging out with Luke Skywalker, she's like, I'm not part of your order. You know, I mean, it's like, guys,
she's
I don't know
not
what to
even
tell
a
you
Jedi.
here. We
Because
know what
she never made it. She never made it to a Jedi. She's somebody who's got Force training and wields the Force. She is basically just a gray individual, gray Jedi at best. Man, speaking of Jedis and speaking of Star Wars, so what? We're gonna get another movie with Rey.
We're getting 3 movies.
So there's going to be another Star Wars trilogy that's going to be
not trilogy.
You just said
it's
3 movies.
Shut up. It's 3 movies.
Okay.
All separate from each other.
All right. All right. Fair enough.
Okay.
I didn't read that part.
That.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
The one I'm probably most interested in, not Rey, and not because I don't like the character. Actually, I'm okay with it. But the one I'm most interested in is the what is it? The Rise of the Jedi. Like, it's the introduction of the Jedi as, you know, as that cult starts to grow. That's the one I'm interested in. And I don't think, oh my God, I can't remember who they said was directing that one. But anyway, it's the very beginning. Like, we've seen all this other stuff. We've seen just after the fall, or just before the fall, just after the fall, etc. But we've never seen that Old Republic style story told. And so that's the one we're getting. We're getting what essentially Filoni is saying, because he's directing one.
Well, Filoni's directing the one that's, I think, going to star Rey, and they mentioned that it might. Oh, he's not. Okay,
no,
so
he's directing.
I missed. Okay.
He's directing the one that's going to, apparently what they're saying, will have a lot of buildup in the shows that him and Favreau are doing, and that movie will kind of be a culmination of everything going into it. So probably going to see some of the same characters. Who knows? But it's going to be this timeline that we're currently at with the Mandalorian and Ahsoka, and everyone else, and then we get the Rey Skywalker storyline, which, again, I'm happy for her. Hope to see, you know, at least a couple of people come back with her. Would love to see, what's his name,
John Boyega.
John Boyega, who they absolutely robbed in the last.
Oh yeah, they did. They did not give. I mean, I think they had a misstep. They had more than one misstep for sure in the writing and in the way those stories were done. I think they could have had a single writer or a group of writers, maybe 3, right? Because I mean, hey, a trilogy, three isn't bad. 3 people, you know, making one thing together to have a lot of ideas to bounce off of one another is not a bad idea. But they could have done a group of writers, 3, 4, whatever, and had that same group write the narrative and just write all 3. And then, yeah, you can swap things out. You can make adjustments. You can do little bits here and there, but keep the narrative. And I think that would have been much, much better, you know, in the long run, because the way it played out, I mean, you know, the one with Rian Johnson, the middle one or whatever, that people were like, oh my God, how could she not be a Skywalker, and you guys got to fix this, and and then they're like, well, now we got to retcon that, or we got to try to figure out a way to change that. And it was like, I didn't mind her being a Palpatine. Where it all ended up, I was like, that's actually pretty cool. She isn't Skywalker. That's nice. You know, I was like, good.
And she wasn't a Kenobi.
Skywalker. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I would have preferred the idea that she wasn't anyone necessarily connected to
of note. Anyone
Yeah.
of note. It would have been nice if she was just like, they were just like, no, you're just some punk kid from a backwater moon. Like,
Yeah, that would have been
that's it.
That would have
Who
been.
you
I thought it
connected to?
would have been
Nobody.
the best. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I think had they actually gone that route, and I think in the long run, people would have come to been more agreeable with that than anything else.
Mhm.
But I hope so. I'm glad that if they're doing this, these three are not connected, because
Yeah,
I think she did a good job as Rey, and I like Rey as a character. I liked all their characters. The story itself was where things faltered.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
Don, you're not as late as us. We were over a month late, so you're good, bud.
You're pregnant?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's
Congratulations.
It's not Jason's. It's yours.
Well,
that was
good.
a great
I'm
night
glad.
that we all shared.
That was amazing. I'm glad I could be the one to dump, though. I'm happy to be that one. Thanks.
That's fair enough.
Hold on. So okay. Also, so
I don't know where this transitions are going, but I already don't like it.
No. Star Wars. Listen.
Okay. I was about to say, sounds like someone's going down some stairs.
So I read. Welcome to Sean's House of Stairs.
Wow.
I read this little thing online, and I was like, "This is really good. I got to share this with y'all just to see what you think." It was this thing where this person goes, "All of the Star Wars movies are incorrectly named." They said they got all the titles.
Yes,
I saw
Have
that.
you seen this?
Yes.
Fantastic,
Okay.
and it's on point, man.
I mean,
wrong.
it was
on
so,
point.
So he says he's like, come with me on this. He goes, episode 1, we meet Anakin Skywalker, the rise of Skywalker. Episode 2, we learn that Palpatine, leader of the Sith, ordered an army to destroy the Jedi. Revenge of the Sith. Episode 3, Order 66 happens. The clones attack. Attack of the Clones. Episode 4, Obi-Wan teaches Luke it's time for the Jedi to return. Return of the Jedi. Episode 5, Yoda teaches Luke how to use the Force. The Force Awakens. Episode 6, both Yoda and Anakin die, which makes Luke the Last Jedi. Episode 7, with the old Empire gone, a new Empire is emerging. The Empire strikes back. Episode 8, Luke trains Rey, then sacrifices himself to save everyone, giving the universe a new hope. And episode 9, Palpatine returns from the dead, making him
the Phantom Menace.
And I was like, this is genius.
Spot on.
Yeah, it really
And
was.
I can't wait for George Lucas to re-release them all with those titles.
Well, I don't think he would.
Yeah.
Disney might.
Oh, I think George Lucas probably kept some clause in his rights to the there somewhere where he's gonna be like, I've got every right to. I don't have the beard. I've got every right to come back and do whatever I want with it. So
You're
I love
100%
the fact that you made
correct
the
on that one.
jowls.
Yeah,
Well, that's
it was the
'cause
jowls. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. The only time I would be okay with them doing a re-release with all new, they jacked everything up, is the sequels where they actually just make them better movies. So maybe
Which sequels? You talking about 2 through 9 or?
There's the prequel trilogy, there's the original trilogy, and there's the sequel trilogy. You know what the hell I'm talking about. Stop being obtuse. Do we want to talk about The Last of Us?
No, we actually talked about that, didn't we?
Well, no, the last 2 episodes.
Okay, are you ready?
We were...
It's over. Season
over.
2.
Yeah, basically.
Season 2 is going to be coming out, so that's nice. I mean, I'll say that again, still didn't play the video games, and spoiler alert on anybody who hasn't watched The Last of Us at this point. Turn off now because But the end of the episode, the end of season 1, with Joel going through the hospital, just blasting everybody.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
I love he didn't hesitate with the doctor.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part.
He was
my favorite.
It's like, look,
part.
you don't understand. Unplug her.
Actually, he didn't even say that. He just goes. He was like, wake her up, cut her free, and he picks up. He goes, I'm not gonna let you. Bam! And he doesn't even finish. I'm not gonna let you. Just bump right through the face.
Yep.
Guy falls. attending
Nurses
go when they freak out, and he's like, "You cut her free," and she's just like, "Okay, I got you. Yeah, no problem." I mean, it was good, and I think Ray, were you and me and Nathan that were talking about it, with the fact that it's just Joel has never been a good guy.
Yeah,
even
it's
though
just
he's the
it's
good
just his
guy.
character. Yeah,
He's
Yeah.
not a good guy though, because he didn't do the right thing, which would have been to sacrifice.
to sacrifice her. Yeah,
to sacrifice her and see if they could at least, because that's really their only chance at this point that they can come up
Yeah.
with, because they don't know that her mother was bitten in the midst of giving birth, and like that's kind of what saved her, as far as we know. For
he was selfish.
things.
He was very selfish, and I think
He
she definitely knows it.
She
at
knows
the end,
it. Oh, she
where
knows.
it's just like, and she was fine. Like whatever it was going to take for that cure, she was fine.
Right.
I felt
Because
like she kind of even probably knew.
Yeah, because she's like, of all the people, look at all these people who have died because of me. She's like, it started with my mother, my girlfriend, on all the way down. Right.
Yeah, those two boys we met, the one I befriended, the other one who shot himself, like this whole thing.
Yeah, all these people died because of me. This needs to mean something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, and the look on her face when he's like, "I promise." Yeah,
because she knows. She knows, and he's trying to fake it, but I'm sure that's gonna be addressed in season 2. Again, I haven't played either game, so I don't know how it pans out in the second episode, so to speak, as it were. But
well, my understanding of that series is that he's not supposed to be in that second, so it sounds like they're going to deviate from the main stuff.
He starts out
white.
Yeah, I think he starts out a little bit in the video game. I think he's in it for a bit in the beginning, but yeah, the whole story, the rest of the story from the video game, as far as I know, The Last of Us Part 2 is Ellie's.
It's Ellie's story.
Mm-hmm.
It's Ellie's story. You're playing her. She's the character now. So which I wouldn't mind. I think Bella Reese is doing a phenomenal job as Ellie in this role. I mean,
she's a good actress.
Yeah, she's killing it. It's really good.
And I do, like you said, I like the idea that, and they've been saying the entire time, he's not a good guy, right? He's just lost. He's just trying to get what he wants. And when he finally locks in with her, and he's like, I can love you, I can protect you, you can be my replacement daughter. And we see his attitude completely changes over the last 2 or 3 episodes. It's like, once that happens, it's over. Because now it's like, I'm protecting her because I failed with my daughter. And so to your point, he should have let them do the procedure, because this is the one shot humanity as a whole gets. A good person would be like, okay, she recognizes that she has, her entire point is whatever needs to happen, this is what needs to happen, because this can't be.
We think that's what her. Nobody saw that. That's the other nice little nugget that they plant in your mind when you get to see this is you are Joel waking up in that room at that point where he's going, but did she have a choice? And the I don't even know if she's the leader per se. I guess she is, but the leader of the Fireflies is like, Joel, it's the only way. But she doesn't say yes.
We told her.
Like, I almost feel like if she had said, we told her, and she understands.
We have the scene with the giraffe. We have the scene with the giraffe where she does sort of say that, she gives that sort of idea to Joel where she's like, this needs to mean something. All these people who died.
Yeah.
So you can extrapolate from that.
Yeah, but that's different than being told and being okay with it.
Right. Yeah. It shows that she has the noble attitude that everything we've been through up to this point has to mean something.
Yeah.
But noble attitude and willingness to actually sacrifice yourself for the greater good.
Yeah.
Especially if you haven't been told. And that's the thing, is we don't know that they told her anything. I'm more inclined to believe they didn't tell her shit. I
Yeah.
think because weren't they both knocked out when they brought them in?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so it's very
And
possible that they.
she doesn't remember, like, when she finally wakes up, it's not, she doesn't remember being strapped down to a table or anything. She just said, "Hey,
No.
what happened?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, what
So
happened? Yeah.
No, and I agree with that. I'm just saying it's like because there is that ambiguity. Like, did she know what was going to happen? So I agree with you there. But
Right.
but again, that's sort of broader. Like she's letting you know that she has an idea in her head. This needs to mean something. Whatever that takes is what it is. There is a theme throughout the series, though, of essentially everyone is like the church thing where they were the cannibals. Although most of the people didn't realize they were cannibals, right? They were told
well,
they
but they
were.
weren't necessarily okay. So even that, and I'm not justifying being a cannibal by any stretch of the imagination, but even that, it was
We know
done
what you
to
do
a
on the weekends, Ray.
yeah. Shh.
Not
Yeah.
justifying being a
Soylent Green,
cannibal.
the other white meat.
Mhm.
It wasn't a thing that they were trying to do. It was a last resort.
It was a necessity. It was
Yeah,
like, this is
Right.
the only way we're going to stay alive.
Yeah,
Right. But that's
an
the whole point.
unfortunate thing, but that's what I'm
Is
saying.
the
I don't
Well,
think
but
that's
hold on. That's
something that you'd
the
say.
entire theme of the show is people doing what they feel they need to do to survive, and it always ends
Yeah.
up sacrificing somebody else.
Mhm.
This other human is going to be taken, whether whether they voluntarily sacrifice. Most of the time, they're not voluntarily sacrificing. They're being the Fedra executing people because they don't want too many people. Right? We're told that is what happens. With the
It's selfishness. The
yeah, it's
entire thing is selfishness.
Which
right.
is,
The
again,
broader theme.
we go back to the very first episode where that family stranded on the side of the road, and they did the smartest thing you could possibly do. No, keep driving. Don't stop
Keep
for them.
driving.
It's
Don't
not,
stop. Don't pick them
and
up. Yeah.
Mhm.
so very much, and as all of us would be outside of a friendship circle, we would be the same way in an end of the world scenario. No, no, no. Let's not. No, keep going. You have to be selfish a bit in that type of scenario where it's you or them.
People,
Unfortunately.
I think people, I mean, well, no, people, it's not that people don't realize, but we definitely don't realize because we're not in that situation,
Mhm.
how fast, you know, camaraderie and this community breaks down when,
Mhm.
there's no more institution in place.
Yep.
And you immediately revert to tribalism. You do, because that's what we initially are as mammals. We have a tribe. That's the whole point. I mean, you know, uh, everybody has always been part of a tribe, and we've always still been part of a tribe. It's just, we're either Texans or we're Americans or we're North Americans or whatever, or we're the Allies or we're the Axis. But it's all still tribes, no matter what you do. And
Mhm.
it's just that when something like that happens, when the end of the world disaster occurs, the tribes are now your immediate family until you build a bigger tribe. And your immediate family
Mhm.
includes chosen family. I'm including
Yeah.
friends.
No, I get you. Yeah.
That's chosen family. So that's the thing, is like, unless I've got this stellar relationship with somebody in my neighborhood, or, whatever the case may be, there's very likely that I would not pick anybody up, and I'd be like, nope, we're fleeing and screw all you people, just like most everybody else would in this
Mhm.
country, in this world. That's just cold hard fact. So, you know, um, it breaks down, man. When society breaks down, you revert back to one of your most primal instincts, which is survival. And survival means, if I don't know you, I can't trust you, and
Yep.
therefore, I'm not going to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Unless
No, exactly.
until you need to reach out to somebody else to survive, and then
Mhm.
you're reaching out to everybody. If you've got no more prospects, you're looking for help wherever you can get it from.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then, but again, it also makes you remarkably dangerous. Again, that's the theme: is that
it is. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
every episode has that idea. And again, it's just the cult one was more of a. And again, the bulk of the cult didn't know what was going on. It was just a few people, right?
Two,
But
actually.
yeah, 2 or 3 plus the leaders, and that
I,
was
I,
sort
I
of the
think
idea.
I think a few of them had an idea of what was going on. Especially, they kind of hint at that in the scene where
Hmm.
he brings in
The meat.
a deer or whatever, and she's like, "What is this?" He's like, "Deer" or something, and she's just like, kind of gives him a look like, "I didn't see. I'll bring a deer carcass in here, and I know that we've lost somebody, and somebody like they're dead from this or old age or whatever, and it's just like, you know. But that I loved. I thought that was a very powerful episode. That was crazy. Like that was such a, because that again that shows how far. Once again, it's another amazing example of how far people will go to stay alive and to ignore the truth in order to stay alive and remain to be a part of that group.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Dark as shit. Don't get me wrong. Dark as shit. Horrible episode, but a good episode because it was amazing.
But it does. I will say this though, and I know we try not to compare, but I think in this instance I will. This is where this show kind of differs from The Walking Dead, where I watch this show and I don't feel so beat down after watching this. Walking Dead got to the point to where it was just like you'd watch it, you'd have to watch something else after. Just to kind of cleanse yourself because you'd feel so like down about it, and
even The Walking Dead was such, it was like it was cruelty porn.
Yeah.
Because even when those tribes were members of those tribes, nobody trusted anybody, and they all wanted to kill each other. It was like, so there was never watching that series, no matter what you did, you were always suspicious of the person next to you.
Yep.
So there's never ever a moment when you can relax and feel like you're watching a group of people try to stick together and overcome. Your fight or flight response is active the entire time you're watching that show. There's never a moment when it's not. Even when there's no zombies, even when they're on the whole season when they're on the farm, it doesn't matter. You're because Shane is there, and you're like, he's gonna freaking kill him. Like you did the whole time. You're just like, So
that was a good season. What they did with Shane and extending his character from the comic book was fantastic.
But I think that's why, and I think that's why you didn't feel so beat down, because when you're watching that show, when you're watching The Walking Dead, constant fight or flight. Even when there's no zombies, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was continuous, and that's why I couldn't watch it anymore. I was like, I can't do this. I was like, my hands are sweating.
Well, and plus every episode, or at least every other episode, it was an over the top, gruesome kill, where
there were
where it's like it's like, well, hey, like I saw one episode. I basically was out after whichever season they went to I think it was season 3 when they went to the prison. I was out basically after that, but I caught part of one episode where the kid from Everybody Hates Chris dies. And literally they have him like trapped in like a door. He's trying to escape, and the zombies come and grab his face.
Season 6, my friend.
Okay. Whatever.
Wow.
But they just, in his face, like you hear the bone crush, and it just rips his face apart. It's like,
it was meant to be gruesome. It was way more gruesome. And that's kind of one of the nice things about The Last of Us is it's zombies, but it's not zombies in the sense that where we're like, oh, they're bloodthirsty. I mean, they are, and they still did tear people to bits, and they still did all these things to try to spread the infection. But it was fungus.
Right.
So, the fungus wants to perpetuate itself, so it's not going to kill itself because
I love that we have an issue now with a fungi bacterial that's going around. I just read that. I was like, oh, good. I was like, I was waiting for that. That was not on my end of the road bingo checklist, but I'll add it,
Yep. Well, and plus, again, the fungus people are, the infected are a problem. And that's why, but again, like the last, 3 or 4 or 5 episodes, we haven't even seen them.
Yeah. It's mostly people at that point.
Yeah. And it's, again, they sort of like, these things are gone because we've moved out of where they are. And so it's to the point is it's not the same beatdown as The Walking Dead, which is good. It is also not something that it's also not necessarily a show that makes you feel good at the end of it, but
it's not as intense, which was why it's more tolerable. It's definitely not a feel good story per se. There are some episodes where you get feel good moments, which was great. But not a feel good story. It's not like The Rookie, where at
Right.
the end of it, at like almost the end of every one, you're like, that was a really nice. I got to watch that. That was really
Yeah,
enjoyable.
that's really nice. Yeah.
That's really nice. That was very wholesome. Even
Yes.
though,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So
Yeah, I think I was basically out by the time COVID hit, but I've checked back in from time to time. It's still a good show. Like
it's
it.
a very
Yeah.
good show. Yeah, it's a very
Two
good show.
quick hits of note. So Max, which is not Cinemax, but apparently the new HBO Discovery
Max,
thing.
Max, yeah.
So 2 greenlit shows, right? A 10-season Harry Potter show.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How many seasons did you
10
just say?
seasons.
10 seasons?
They want to do a season per book, with the bigger books getting 2 seasons.
Okay, so they're going to redo the books, but as seasons.
And they are going to
All right.
more into it. And then
right.
the second thing, which really isn't up our alley, but
Boy,
it
they're
kind of
really
is
going to
because
have
we
to
like it.
de-age Daniel Radcliffe to make that work.
I don't think that's going to be the same. I think it's going to be a new cast. I think.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I've already heard people are starting to threaten to boycott it. But
yeah. No, my Batman.
Well,
second thing being a new spinoff for Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Also going to Max. The one thing that I saw from Max that I really enjoyed was the Penguin teaser trailer.
Still didn't see that, but I heard about it.
I didn't even know it was out.
Kind of makes it look like a Heat type feel for it.
Nice. I am looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Again, anything that is a well done film noir genre, I'm a fan of. So when I heard that they were doing this for that, I was like, ooh, this could be really good. I would love to see Pattinson even make a little cameo or something in it. I think you could easily toss the Batman in for half an episode, but
I think supposedly they are. That is one of the things.
Nice.
But I think it's
nice.
Part of who he was, how he became, and then power vacuum left by the Batman.
Falcone. Yep, exactly. No, I was excited by that. I don't understand. I mean, I do. Of course, it's a corporate thing, and when you have this merger, everybody's got big ideas, and those big ideas are either brand new or they think they're brand new and they're just like the old ideas. But they were like, they had some presser, some release where they had an event, and they were like, let's unveil the new HBO Max, which is going to be called Max, and they were saying like, in this world of overabundant streaming choices, we want to simplify everything for you. So here's Max with 3 new tiered plans that you can pay 3 different amounts for to overcomplicate everything. And there's all these, and we're going to give you all this programming. We're going to do this, and it's going to be more this focused. And it's like, you guys are full of shit. You're just putting together another streaming service for people to watch. Who gives a crap? It's all corporate bullshit. It was all corporate bullshit.
It's probably the economy creep.
Competitive pricing. Go fuck yourself. It's not competitive pricing. You just want more money, you greedy pieces of shit. Sorry.
Tell us how you really feel, Sean.
I already told you how I felt.
Okay.
And technically, this is after the show because I waited after a full hour to drop an F-bomb.
I was about to say, it's like I was wondering, should I be the one to drop the F-bomb on one of these? Or I appreciate the wait on that one.
Not always needed. I'm
glad I gave it to Sean, though. That's a good one.
Oh, sorry, not 2. 3 quick movies I want to see. I still want to see Air.
I really do want to see that.
It looks
actually, it does look good.
I want to see Renfield because Nicolas Cage has been on fire lately.
Nicolas Cage and Renfield, and he's not even the star. It's the I forget the other guy's name, but Renfield is
Holt. Nicholas Holt.
Nicholas Holt. That's
Beast from the more recent X-Men trilogy.
Yeah, the first.
He also did a good one with the chick from Twilight. It's actually really good. But yeah, he's a good actor. I like him.
Nicholas Holt did one.
Yeah, Nicholas Holt. Yeah, he did I forget the name of it, but it was with the chick from Twilight. It's this sci-fi thing set in the future. It's actually really good. It's one of those quiet thinking films, and it's really well done.
I'll have to check that out.
And then lastly, I really can't wait for Oppenheimer.
That looks good.
The fact that Chris Nolan got allowed to replicate the bomb and set it off is fantastic. I
Listen,
was reading that article, and they're like, "Yeah, we got clearance and everything else, and I'm like, I don't know what's worse. Is like, dude, I think CGI would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, but hey, you want to take a piece of the world? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But I
listen,
am
man.
interested. That entire cast of characters and actors in that is pretty phenomenal.
Some things are. I mean, we have proven that CGI, while great, can't always make you believe.
Yeah.
When you see something and you're like, that was real. I believe that. We watched Top Gun Maverick recently.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Very
Mhm.
impressed, by the way, and you could tell, like you're like, that was real.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
the plane is flying, 50 less than 50 feet off the deck of the desert and goes whoosh right over the cameras, and you see the camera shake, you're like, holy shit, that was not faked.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So those types of things, and them really being up there in the planes, and I mean, not only that, Jennifer Connelly had to take sailing lessons
Yes.
to sail that boat.
Mhm.
And she was like, oh yeah, that was me at the wheel. She said, I spent several weeks learning how to do just that.
Mhm.
And I mean, the fact that she is, and you see her in the sailboat is, the whole time, and she's like, I'm like, how are you? Like, that was crazy, dude. It was crazy
Yeah.
winds. It was crazy. It was nuts. So
There is that
reality speaks
difference.
for something.
No, it does. I love practical effects. We all do. Again, CGI has its place, but
Mhm.
again, when you see them in the cockpit of the aircraft, and you can see like where the face is, like where the G-force is forcing, you
It's
see the
forcing
skin
cheeks
pushing it.
back and stuff. Yep.
The way the sunlight hits the plastic around the dome, and you see it.
Yes.
All of those things are so much more impressive, and it doesn't take you out of the watching experience. Again, it's yeah, I'm right there with you. So, and again, let's be honest, if we had the chance to set off again, it's not a real nuclear weapon, but it's like
a simulated nuclear weapon,
we would all say yes.
we would do it. Hey,
no.
I love
Every one of us.
firecrackers, man. Absolutely love fireworks. I mean, we've all blown up anthills. We're probably on a watch list now. Not that we weren't before, but we're definitely on one now.
I'm on several watch lists, so it's
the
seriously, that would be
real live ammunition used when you're younger with your GI Joes and simulating war, right?
When you're like, wow, man, those rubber bands just don't hold them together with that M80. They are toast.
God, here's a piece for sure. Again, though, it's
roadblock.
It's one of these movies that we're talking about that are just fantastic. Oh, the other thing about Maverick too is what I like is their absolutely wonderful handling of Iceman. Beautiful.
Yes.
No, it was very well done. It was very well done, and I was so glad that they brought him back. And when I started seeing, you start seeing him through the texts, and I loved that approach because they're like it's him. He's so much more in the film just through that alone, which was great because I'm sure. I know Val Kilmer is very sensitive about what he's gone through and his cancer and throat cancer and having his larynx removed and everything, right? Because of that.
I'll tell you that the time that me and the kids got to meet him, still one of the nicest people. And you could tell he was hurting that day, and was still so down and wanted to make sure that the kids weren't freaked out by how he presented. I almost shed a tear in front of him because of how cool he was being given his situation.
So I think I've heard rumors that he was not always so nice, and that through a particular portion of his career, he was kind of an asshat to a lot of people. As we all are. Like, nobody's perfect by any means, right? I mean, everybody learns and does better or worse from time to time. So it's just such a shame when I don't think it was because of the throat cancer that made him this way. I think he had already kind of cleaned up his act kind of leading up to it. But it is a shame when somebody has to go through that, no matter who they are. And I mean, I am glad that he's still around. And I was really, I agree with you. That was a very well done portion of his role in that movie. So
I love the fact that they use him to explain why he's still where he is. Why Tom Cruise?
Why he hasn't been
right. It's like
just thrown out.
Yeah, everyone's like, you should be like a 2-star admiral by now. Like,
and he goes, that's not me. He's like, I'm not that person. Yeah.
And they let you know it's like the entire reason is because Iceman has been protecting him the entire time. His entire career has been because he's letting him, because he's like, look, this guy still has something to teach us, and he still has something to provide the military that you can't replace with a computer.
You can't digitize what he does. There's no way to do it. And it was a great, I gotta say, that was a great 80s movie.
It was.
Yes.
It was a great 80s movie. And I do mean 80s for today. Like, they don't make movies like that anymore. They did a little bit with the Expendables, and this was another great version of an 80s movie nowadays. It was very well done. I think it was a great send-off for that character in the series and everything. So I highly recommend people watch it. I do not understand why anybody thought it should have been up for an Oscar, though. I don't get that.
No,
like, I think that was total. That was people just pulling. That was somebody who paid a lot of money. Is like, well, we have to put this in because they paid this much.
No, like, it's not a best picture. It is a great picture to watch and reminisce.
It's a great film. It's a great film. It is very enjoyable. That is not a best picture movie. And I don't know why it was even included in that. So
no, completely agree.
Yep.
Jason, you want to sign us out, bud?
Yeah.
Bye.
Jason, you want to try better to sign us out, maybe?
I don't know if it's better, but sure. Thank you for watching this episode of the Vagabond Nerds. We appreciate patronage. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share us out to your friends, neighbors, and enemies, because you should not have to suffer alone. Thank you, of course, to Titan Comics, who helped support this series. I don't know why, but he is our favorite comic monger and purveyor of fine geeky accoutrement. We will see you at some point in the future. I am certainly not about to promise in 2 weeks, because we all know how that works out.
To be fair, this past month, life happened.
Yeah, life happened
for all of us. Hey, if we can make it through, you can make it through. Yep. Definitely be kind to each other out there, please.
Yeah. So. Please.
Jason?
Deuces, motherfuckers.
This is more of a... let's end if I can find the way to get this show.
Do you want me to help push the button?
No, I don't want you to help push the button. We're done.
Jesus.